Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Aaron, for those who haven't spoken or met me, and we have Mandy Megan on board, who is our operations manager, who's waving to you all now. This is our sixth webinar, our second of the completing your quarterly return, but our sixth webinar overall, and I feel like we're getting better at it every time we host one of these. So thanks for joining us today. I'd just like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. Today, I'm on Kaurna land, and I pay my respects to the Kaurna people, and also pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. And I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with us today. If I can just remind everyone just to keep yourselves on mute throughout. I'd also like to suggest that if you have any questions as we go through some of the slides from today, if you just pop them in the chat, Mandy's going to monitor them and try and answer them as quickly as possible as we go through the slides. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask at the end, again, we'll just maybe, if you want to speak about or ask the questions verbally, we'll leave that to the end if that's possible, just so we can get through. This session is all about helping you confidently complete and submit your quarterly return for the portable long service leave scheme. I really don't think we're going to spend the entire hour today on the slides, which means we'll get to some of your questions at the end of the slides, and most likely give you some time back in your busy mornings. Today we'll walk you through each step of the process, explain what information you'll need to have ready, and highlight some of the common questions we have been seeing over the last month or so. By the end of the session, you'll know exactly how to complete your quarterly return. The scheme officially started on the 1st of October, so by now you should have registered your organisation. If that's still on your to-do list, I'd ask if you can prioritise that as soon as possible. We have a dedicated team of registration officers here who are ready and willing to help you through that process. It's a quick 5-minute task that you'll need to do through the employer portal on our website. As you can see, the 1st of October to the 31st December is the first reporting quarter. During this time, you'll need to register your eligible workers, and we would hope that you'd aim to have that wrapped up by the end of December, so you're ready for the first return. And that first return and the levy payment is due on the 21st of January. And that's the real important dates that we just want to make you aware of. The 31st of December is when we'd like you to have all your workers registered by, and then your first return and your levy payment for those workers is due on the 21st of January. Once you're set up, you're registered and your eligible workers are uploaded, your main ongoing task is to complete a quarterly return. And these returns are pretty straightforward. They're generated automatically in the employer portal and are due by the 21st day after the end of each quarter. So for example, in the slide you can see now, they're the quarters under the return periods and the due dates for each of those returns. So you've got 4 of those actions to undertake each year. The same pattern obviously continues throughout the year, so it's fairly simple to remember, or you might want to just put some notes in your calendar and reminders. When you submit your return, the system will automatically generate an invoice for your levy, and that invoice is due on the same day as the return, so you can complete both in one go. Once your workers are registered, again, your ongoing task is to complete a quarterly return. Towards the end of each quarter, you'll receive an email advising the return is available for you to complete. So what you would do is log on to your employer portal and report your workers' weeks worked and how much you've paid them for that period, and the system will guide you through it. It's really designed to be quick and familiar and really easy to use. You can find the returns document on the slides that I'm showing you here under the dashboard with the with the reference number here. It'll automatically generate when that quarter is due, or just prior to that, or you can go to the drop-down box on your employer portal and go from there. I'm going to show you a quick video of the process of someone doing it. I'll most likely just speak and talk as the video is progressing. There might be a few automated voices that pop up, but we'll see how we go. So again, the periodic return is due on the 21st after each quarter. So you would log on to your employer portal. As I said earlier, you can go via the drop-down box of the returns, or you can enter it in from the returns reference in the database. You would open that by selecting the link, and all of your active workers should be pre-filled as per your employer worker registration process. You would enter the weeks worked and remuneration for each of those workers, and that levy will be automatically calculated. To add new workers or workers that worked that you haven't got listed in the automation, you can do through that add existing worker process and simply once again add their weeks worked and the remuneration, and the levy will adjust. You can keep adding workers throughout the process, and you can, okay, I forgot that little voiceover was in there, but that's just refers to if you have a worker that hasn't worked at all throughout that quarter, for whatever reason, they may have resigned or they may be just not available, you would enter weeks work 0, and if there is a termination, you'd enter that reason why they've been terminated. Complete the new workers details. If you're adding new workers that aren't on your list, you will completely add their full details as you would have done if you're adding a new worker normally, and they'll generate onto the worker details list, and you'll add your weeks worked and your remuneration, and the levy will adjust. Once you're ready, you can submit that and go from there, but there is also the opportunity to bulk upload all your details for the quarterly return. That is simply available through the download template button there, and it will pop up in your downloads folder and generate a spreadsheet, and the names and the workers will generate as per your worker registration. There is a tab down the bottom of this spreadsheet that provides you with instructions for each column in that spreadsheet, as well as column instructions for adding new workers to the returns process. So it's a simple completion on a spreadsheet instead of the portal. You would again complete your week's worked and how much you've paid that worker. You can select whether or not there's a discrepancy. You can add details around termination, or if the if the worker has resigned and left, and then just a reason as to why, or some comments around that process. So it's a very intuitive, very simple, and the database, the upload database, obviously is very helpful for those who have a number of workers that they need to capture. Like I said earlier, you can add new workers to the bulk upload as well, and it's as simply as it's as simple as just adding their details as if you would have done through the portal as well. All of these details are for us, so we can talk to the workers at some point in time if they contact us and they want to talk through their process or they want to talk through the scheme with us, and it's just a way for us to verify who they are. So simple details, name, a email address, a phone number, and their postal address. And then you would enter those details of the worker's name, which would be further across the spreadsheet, and again, the remuneration and the week's worked to calculate that levy. You'd save your file, and then using the upload template button, you would upload that file and it would automatically generate all of your workers onto the portal for you, and then again adjust the levy. Like I said earlier, an invoice for your levy will be emailed to you. The invoice will be attached to an email and provide you with your total amount due and payment options for you to make. You can also find those invoices on your employer portal under that drop-down box called invoices. What wasn't shown in this video, but if you have workers who have worked or had one or more weeks in the period where they did not work, I should say, you will need to upload a copy of their timesheets for the period so we can identify when they did and didn't work. Ideally, this is in a spreadsheet, and you can provide it just for the workers who didn't work, or at least one shift per week, or you can provide it for all of your workers if it's easier. This data is required for making sure workers are paid the right rate of pay when they claim their long service leave. I just want to touch quickly on ordinary weekly pay, or OWP, for service accrued after the scheme started, because it's important everyone has the same understanding. OWP is simply the amount used to work out what a worker gets paid when they take long service leave. It's not based on their current rate alone. It's calculated as an average of what they've earned each week over the past 3 years. And that average covers all of their service. So if a worker has been employed by several organisations in that time, their OWP reflects earnings across all employers and all return periods recorded in the scheme. Next, we'll take a look at remuneration, because it's directly linked to both the levy and the OWP. Remuneration is basically the gross payments made to a worker for their work. That includes ordinary wages, regular allowances, and other standard payments. It doesn't include one-off bonuses or reimbursements, just the payments that reflect their regular work. And this is what we use to calculate both the levy you pay and the workers' average weekly pay for their long service leave. Keeping this distinction clear helps avoid errors in reporting and ensures everyone's records are accurate. The regulations, which were released in July earlier this year, specifically talks about OWP and remuneration and what's excluded and what's included. And if we go to this slide here, when calculating the levy, there are some clear rules on what's included and what's excluded. And this is the included list. On the slide, you'll see a list of inclusions, and that catch-all down the bottom on the right-hand side that includes anything that is not listed as an exclusion. And I'll get to the exclusions on the next slide, but It's just a clear indication of what needs to be included when you're capturing the remuneration for each of your workers. This is the list of excluded, and it's fairly specific. These are the items that do not form a part of the remuneration and then therefore do not form a part of the levy calculation. It's fairly clear that this list is specific around certain payments. And the clear thing, if you go back to what I said on the previous slide about that catch-all, if it's not listed on the excluded, we suggest you include it as part of their remuneration. These lists of inclusions and exclusions are on our website for you to have a look at. And if you've got any questions that you're a little bit confused about or just want some clarity on, feel free to reach out to us. Let's just talk about quickly how workers claim long service leave now the portable long service leave scheme is in place. Workers who have completed at least 120 months of service can either take time off or request a cash payment instead. Leave must be claimed in whole days with a minimum of 1 week per claim. Workers will submit their application through the worker portal, but their leave won't be paid or approved until the employer approves the time off. So that means in practical senses, a worker will submit a request for long service leave on the portal. That will generate an email to the employer seeking their approval for that leave to be granted. The standard rule is that workers should apply 2 months in advance, but you can agree to a shorter notice period if needed. And payments are generally made the week before the leave starts, so the worker has access to the pay on time. If a worker leaves the community services sector after at least 84 months of service, they can receive a pro rata payment for the long service leave they've accrued. Another common theme of questions that we get is around transitional provisions. And this is about the service a worker has accrued before the scheme started on the 1st of October, particularly around continuous service with an employer that will carry over into the scheme. That means it'll count towards portable long service leave entitlements. However, if a worker leaves before reaching 7 years with that employer, the service they had pre-scheme before October the 1st is lost, just as if they would normally be under the state leave, long service leave scheme. You still need to reach a entitlement, that minimum of 7 years entitlement to be eligible. It's only the post-scheme accrual that will count to be portable. If a worker stays for 7 years or more, the employer becomes liable for a payment for the long service leave accrued before the scheme started. And the rate of pay for service before the scheme is calculated under the Long Service Leave Act 1987. So it reflects the old rules, not the scheme's current average weekly pay calculation. And there's a clear distinction there that the 1st of October, pre the 1st of October is what we're talking about in that space. So anything that you need to calculate for pre-scheme service is calculated under that Long Service Leave Act. Just want to talk quickly about compliance. Our approach is pretty simple. We're here to provide as much support and guidance as possible and as much as you need. We don't necessarily want to issue penalties. The goal is the goal for us really is to help you understand what your obligations are under the scheme and make it as easy for you to meet them as possible. If any issues come up, we would suggest you reach out to us. We want to work collaboratively with all employers, and we want to work with them to resolve their issues. One practical thing employers can do to make life easy is to keep clear records and documentation of registrations, returns, and payroll calculations. And that essentially helps you and it helps us if any questions arise, and it keeps everything straightforward for everyone. We know that this can feel like a lot to take in, and that's why we've been working with employers, as many employers as we have been possible up until this point. We want to make sure that there's support available every step of the way. We have numerous resources on our website. First, we've got, I think we've got 4 packages of toolkits that are dedicated to employer support and worker support. They can be found on our resources page of our website. They'll talk you through registration, worker setups, returns, levy payments, how to answer questions from your workers, and so on. We also, as we are today, we've hosted a number of webinars, and all of those webinars have been recorded and are available to watch if you've missed them from our website. Again, clearly marked on our resources page of our website. And we also have a bunch of FAQs dedicated to the employer, FAQs for workers, and from my understanding, we have FAQs dedicated to working directors and self-employed contractors. After all that, and you still need a little bit more help, we have some customer service officers available and on the phone ready to take a call. Or if you prefer, you can email and they'll respond to your emails as soon as they can. They can guide you through any part of the process or provide some support or answers to your questions. And I guess the key message really is that we don't want you to feel like you're battling this alone. We want to make sure that you know that there are multiple ways for you to get the support that you need and whenever you need it. So that's pretty much the end of my slides for today. I appreciate everyone's interest in the rollout of the scheme. I know there's a lot of people that have a fairly sound knowledge of the scheme, but there's some new faces that probably are thinking, this is all new to me, what can I do to get some help? So as I alluded to before, we've got a dedicated registrations officers and dedicated customer services officers available and ready to chat you through your specific query. You can visit our website, which the link is on your screen now, or you can take a little screenshot of the QR code that will take you directly to the website via your smartphone. I would suggest you also follow us on our LinkedIn platform or our Facebook platform. Anything that we do or we share or we remind people of is promoted through those 2 platforms. They will give you direction, they will provide you with reminders, they will share testimonials, and they're a really good resource of information. And at the end of the day, if you're like me, you like to talk to people and try and get an understanding of what you need to do, our number is on the screen, 84742400 if you're in South Australia, or you can call the free number, that 1800 number as well. That pretty much is the end of what I was going to talk about. I know I can see Mandy's been busily responding to some questions in the chat as I've been talking. Mandy, is there anything that we need to cover off quickly that, or where you haven't got to?
I think the only one I've got so far is the phone allowance. I don't know if that's included or not because I don't remember off the top of my head. So just give me a moment. If it's not a reimbursement, then it would be included because phone allowances are not listed at all.
Okay,
So the rule with calculating remuneration is if it's not excluded, then it's included.
correct. So again, if we go back to that included and excluded list, and again, it's on our website, the legislation clearly states and the regulations clearly state that if it's not on the excluded list, we take it as it's included.
Yes, that's right. If you do have any specific questions and you're not sure, you can ask us. But that is what we're using as our guidelines, is if it is not listed as one of those exclusions, then it is included. So yes, there's a lot of things listed in that included list, and that's just for clarity. It's so that you can go, oh, easy, tick, tick, tick. Yes, it's in, it's in, it's in. But if it's not on either list, then it's included is the answer to the question.
Yep. I just want to quickly touch on a question we got about an Excel spreadsheet to be uploaded. So if we go back to the returns on our employer portal, you can download a Excel spreadsheet and then complete that and then upload it. So that's available on the manual bulk upload process on the employer portal as well.
It will be available once the return's been generated. It's not actually
Correct.
available right now. If you need it earlier for planning purposes, please email us at admin@saplsl-community.org.au and we will send you a blank copy so you can see what the template will look like. When you actually go to do the return and you download the template, it will already be populated with all of your registered workers' names on it. So it won't be a blank one. It will have all the workers that are on the return on the spreadsheet. It would be a little bit different to the one that you'll get today.
Yeah, that's a clear difference there. The one you'll get, if we email it through to you, won't have your data on it, but it will have it on there if you download it from the portal once available. I was getting ahead of my time there, Mandy. My apologies.
No, you're right.
So yes, I think we're getting a lot of questions around the bulk upload, so that should be fairly clear in that space. Ursula says, "Oh, you have you no? What happens if an
Yeah.
employee has unpaid leave in a period?" I think that's a fairly simple one.
Yeah, so if your unpaid leave is for a week, then you will take that off of your week's worked, and that's pretty much everything that we need you to do. If it wasn't a whole week, then it doesn't make any difference. As long as they were paid once during that week, then that still counts as a week worked. It doesn't matter how many hours it is. Well, it's minimum too, but it doesn't matter how many shifts it is. If they work during the week, it counts as a week worked. And it's supposed to work with your payroll system. There's another question about how do you deal with employees with the old long service leave system. So we will be capturing the data for the long service leave accrued prior to the scheme commencement through a one-off returns process in February. We didn't really touch on it too much today because this one webinar is just about how to complete your quarterly return. But in February, you will get a return. We'll send you stacks of information before that happens about what needs to go on it. But it's basically so that we can get all this service updated in our system as one bulk procedure. We've left it till February because there's already a lot going on right now. We didn't want to add too many things all at the same time. It gets a bit confusing to try and do too many things at once. So at the moment, it's register your business, register your workers, get through your first quarterly return, and then in February, we'll grab all that extra data. If you do have workers who need to take long service leave now or sometime in the next quarter before we are able to, before we've grabbed all that data in February, that information that we're getting in February actually goes on the claim form that's available at the moment. So you can go to our website and download the long service leave claim form. Both the worker and the employer need to fill it out, but we'll also grab that data to be able to calculate the information for their payment. So we can pay workers now. As long as you've registered your business and registered the worker, we can do that.
Thank you, Mandy. And just to clarify, I saw a question, I can't remember who it was from, but the levy rate is at 2.2%. Again, that is a available on our website, that information, but for anyone who was unsure, it's 2.2%. How else are we looking, Mandy?
I don't know if you said it already. You probably did because you covered most things. But when you're putting in your remuneration on your return, it's the gross remuneration, not the net remuneration. So yeah, don't take the tax out when you do that number.
Yep, that's good. Okay. I'm just going to go to this question from Ursula. It says, what is included when an employee is on a loaded rate, which includes overtime allowances? I think we've covered that one. That's on the included or the excluded list, so have a check of that. How do you deal with employees with the old long service leave system? You've answered that one, which is great. Casuals all have to do timesheets as they have no guaranteed shifts. That is fine. Again, it just comes back to if they've worked in that week, or how many weeks they've worked in that quarter, sorry, and how much you paid them. So they could work one day every week in that quarter, but they've worked 13 weeks then.
With the salary packaging, so we will be hosting a claims webinar. I'm not sure exactly when that's scheduled for at the moment, but we will be hosting one because we are getting a lot of questions about claims. So we'd like to be able to answer as many of them as we can. But when the worker takes long service leave, if they have a salary sacrifice arrangement already in place with their employer, you'll be able to put details of that in the claim form. And then what will happen is when we process the payment, the salary sacrificed amount would be paid to the employer to pass on to the worker however they normally would. If that means you pay it to your salary sacrifice provider, then cool, do that. We will pay it to the employer will sort that out, and then the rest of the payment will go to the worker. But we will absolutely cover that in more detail when we do our claims webinar.
Excellent, thank you. Just trying to think, I can't see too many more. Do we have to register employees prior to 21st of January, or can we register them at the same time? So you have until the 31st of December to register your employees, and then you have until the 21st of January 2026 to complete your return and pay your levy for those registered employees. So the current quarter that we're in is the 1st of October to 31st of December, and your employees must be registered before the end of December. Vanessa's asked, do we need to provide you with any supporting data for the weeks not worked?
Yeah, so that was the timesheet. So
okay.
if you do have employees who didn't work at least one shift a week, you'll need to provide their timesheets as part of that. And that's just so that we can make sure that we pay the workers the right rate of pay when they make a claim.
Yep. And I just want to thank Nick for his message. He says that they participate in 4 schemes across Australia, and they're all different. We hear you. They are all different, and we will do what we can to help you out in that space. But yes, we do recognise that everyone is different in different jurisdictions. Okay. What are you seeing? Anything different there, Mandy?
Nope. I think that's all of them. I answered all the questions.
Yeah, Jenny has asked whether or not we'll share the presentation and questions after the meeting. We have uploaded the first of this series of webinars onto our website. I actually might do all recordings of this particular topic on our website. It's probably a little bit more than what we thought we would do, but considering we'll get more questions and different questions, we'll have a think about what that might look like. I think I can't see anything that we haven't answered. Access to the portal. So if you've got a third party that do work for you, in particular accountants, though their details will need to be added to the contact. Sorry, for us to be able to contact them, they need to have their details and their contact points added to the portal. So whoever in your organisation registers your organisation, once that's registered and they can access the employer portal, they can then go in and add additional contact points. And that's a fairly simple find. I think from memory, it's at the top of the screen under their organisation name, and there's a drop-down box, and then you can add new contact details in that space. That's a really important message, actually, for anyone in the organisation that is not a contact point within the organisation. We are unable to talk to them about anything that's been captured throughout the process. So it's really important for whoever is setting up the process from the get-go that then adds the additional people within your organisation to allow us to talk to them about the scheme. We've talked about salary sacrifice. So Ursula's asked again how employees find out about this. So yes, once you've registered them as eligible workers on the portal and you've entered their contact point details in their email, they will get an email, I believe, sent to them advising
so
that
what happens, sorry to interrupt, Darren, what happens is the employer will fill in their worker registration form that comes through to us. As we process it, it will create the accounts for the workers if they don't already exist. If the workers are already in our system, then we'll just kind of connect your business with that worker account that's already there. If it's a new worker, we will also send them an invitation to access their portal. So that's just the email, very similar to the ones that all the employers got when they registered the business. Where they click on the link and go through the process to be able to log into their account the first time. So that's how that works. If you are registering your workers yourself, which is what's supposed to happen, the workers don't need to register themselves as well. There's only one account required. We have facilities for workers to register themselves if they want or need to. But like I said, if the employer's already done it, all we're going to do is link it to that existing worker account. Each worker only needs one account for themselves. And then that can be connected to multiple employers across the sector, across time. So yeah, that's how that works. There was another question here. If the employee's already worked more than 10 years, do they pay long service leave or does it get paid through portable long service leave? So the short answer is anyone who's eligible and registered with portable long service leave should be claiming their claiming through portable long service leave. That's how the legislation is written, is that they claim their long service leave through portable long service leave, and we get the part that you're liable for as an employer from you. So you'll pay your bit, but we'll pay the worker. And that's the process, is it goes through portable long service leave. It is easier to have just one process. I know it's a little bit clunky to start with when we're getting used to the process of doing that and transferring payments and things, but it does get easier when there's only one way of doing it. That said, there are provisions in legislation for an employer and worker to agree that the employer can pay out their liabilities directly to the worker. If you want to do that, you can, but you may not pay any workers for long service leave accrued after 1st of October. So if they had 13 weeks of leave built up to the 30th of September, you can pay them up to 13 weeks, but anything that they accrued after the scheme starts, the employer cannot pay the worker directly for that long service leave. That has to be claimed through portable long service leave. Ideally, we pay the workers for everything, and we'll get the payment from you for the portion that the employer is liable for. Are we up to? Sorry, I got lost. There's too many comments.
That's okay. So you did that one from Judy. Then they had one from.
If the worker is registering, if the worker is entering the field and nearing retirement and they won't reach 84 months, they need to be registered. Unfortunately, if a worker is working in a role that is eligible from 1st of October onwards, you do have to register them regardless of whether they're going to reach an entitlement or not. That's just how it's legislated. There's no provisions for opting out because of any other reasons like that. If they are eligible, you do have to register them and report for them. We do not pay superannuation to workers when they're on long service leave. We've covered that extensively. That's how it's legislated. Is there a form?
similar across all schemes across Australia as well.
Yes, that is true. Is there a form for the employer-employee agreement? Yes, on our website, if the employer and the employee are agreeing to extinguish the liability held by the employer for long service leave accrued before the scheme starts, there is a form on our website under the resources section for the employer and the employee to fill out to show that they both made that agreement and what's been paid out, and that will need to be submitted with a copy of the pay slip showing that that payment has been made.
And to answer the question around if there's any information to share with employees or workers, there is a dedicated workers information page on our website. I would suggest if you want to share that link with your employees, feel free to do so. If they need any specific information about their specific circumstance, let us know and we can help them out. Where are we? We're getting lots of specific questions, which I think we might be able to manage through a phone call instead of through a group conversation, because the questions we're getting are specifics to the organisation or to an employee. So for those who are asking questions in that space, can I suggest you send us an email or give us a phone call and we'll deal with that directly with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And back on the super thing again, if the employer and the worker agree to do super themselves, that's up to you guys. We can't provide advice on what employer obligations are towards workers. We can only tell you what's in our legislation. Under our legislation, we don't pay super. If you guys want to pay super to the workers while they're on portable long service leave, that's up to you, and we don't have any involvement in that process or any advice that we can provide in that space. And the final question, I think, is probably enough questions today. If you're terminating employees that have exceeded 10 years of service, can you pay their entitlement on termination? If the employer and the worker agree that they are going to extinguish the liability held by the employer up to 30 September on termination, yes, you can do that. You need to fill in the form and send us the information to show that you have done that. That said, it may not be the most cost-effective way for the worker. The worker might get paid more if they were claiming through us than they might do if you're extinguishing a liability. But that's up to you guys to agree to, and it has to be an agreement between the employer and the worker. It can't be anyone forcing anyone to make any of those payments.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Just to reiterate, if you've got specific questions about specific scenarios, just give us a call or email them through. But from a generic perspective, I think we have captured and answered as all we can. Again, I feel like a broken record, but our website contains everything you need to know. And if it's not there, you don't need to know it. So it's it is full and packed full of resources. There are toolkits there that help you explain what's going on to your worker. There are toolkits available there to work you through transitional kind of processes and deal with long service leave pre 1st of October. There are toolkits and information sheets and FAQs that deal with pretty much everything you've got. If you, again, have a specific scenario with a particular worker that you're unsure about, please give us a call or send us an email and we will absolutely come back to you and answer those questions. I'm going to wrap it up. Again, as I alluded to earlier, we didn't think we would take the full 60 minutes. We appreciate all of the questions that are coming through, and I appreciate everything that Mandy, you've done today, so thank you for your time. Again, follow us on the social media platforms, jump on our website, give us a call. We are here to help you. We are doing what we can to make sure that you understand exactly what your obligations are throughout this process. And I appreciate you all. And I'll sign off now and say thank you very much and have a great rest of the week. Thank you so much.